Welcome to our August 25th edition of Monday Night Memories. The guy in your screen with you, Nate Bear, a lot better looking than me, but we're glad he's here. And a special show today because they're all special, but Tim Stratton will be joining us. And our programming note, Nate and I will be no post-game call-in show on the radio network, but Nate and I will be joining forces along with the staff of GoldandBlack.com as part of our GoldandBlack.com Saturday simulcast. Brought to you by the Union Club Hotel and a little company called Chariot, not so little company, Chariot Auto Group, who is the sponsor of Monday Night Memories here today. So, Nate, I have to get to, Tim Stratton, we all remember well, of course, number 89, the Mackey Award winner in the year 2000, a fun character, colorful, as they used to say back in the day. In terms of what he brought to the table. When Drew Brees needed somebody at 3rd and 7 across the middle, you could get Tim Stratton to catch the football, and then he'd do this and say first down, and ended up having a good, I think a good relationship with Joe Tiller too. Not always easy during his time at Purdue, but what were your memories of Tim and what he meant to the Purdue program at that time?
Well, I think, as you alluded to, Alan, a go-to guy when Purdue needed a catch, when they needed to pick up a third down, and just captured the spirit of some of those Tiller teams, interacted with the fans in a unique way, and is certainly a guy that has earned a special place in Purdue lore. No one will ever forget some of Coach Tiller's quotes about him and stories going back and forth. And I think even as the years have gone on, Tim, as he's got his own family now, I think can definitely look back and see what a difference he made during those years at Purdue.
Tim, a family full of girls, Tim Stratton. Nobody more fitting for that. Right? He was the guy that he'll tell the helmet story, I would guess. Of course, he lost his helmet after the Purdue-Michigan win, and that's a fun story. And then some. And he used to play catch. I think I told you, Tom Campbell had captured a great image, I think, of at Northwestern. He used to play catch with the fans.
Yeah.
A lot of fun from that standpoint. So without further ado, we will have Tim Stratton and our Monday Night Memories series brought to you by our good friends at Chariot Auto Group. Alan Karpick here with Tim Stratton, number 89 in your program, number 1 in your heart, so to speak, right? I don't know. That's a terrible way to start an interview, Tim, but thanks for taking the time. And obviously, we're going to have some fun talking about what was the most memorable time in Purdue football in the last, I know it's a quarter century, which is hard to imagine.
Wow.
But you still look the same, so that's a good thing. But Tim, thanks for taking the time. We'll look forward to having a chat.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Tim, I mean, obviously for Purdue fans of this that watch, they know who number 89 was. He was the Mackey Award winner. He was the guy that threw the ball into the stands at the Rose Bowl. We have some great pictures of that. When talk about a team that had personality, and you were one of them, but you got a great team of guys that really were an interesting blend of high-achieving dudes. I mean, you guys have all gone on to do some good things, but talk about the dynamics of this team, because it really was, yes, you guys were in college at that time. I get it. But maybe you didn't have a sense that you all were smart guys that were going to do some big things. But now looking back at it, it's a pretty impressive group.
It really was. It was a good mixture of guys of personalities.
Yeah.
So which was nice because, you had some of the goofballs like myself, Mitch, Vinny. Then you had the more serious guys, Drew, Light, some of those other. Well, Light was more of a jokester. But, it was a good combination. And plus the coaching, the coaches let us kind of be who we were, which I think was most important. And especially at the time, there weren't cell phones, there weren't, social media, there wasn't any of this stuff. So you blood, sweat, tears with the guys you played with. And that was it. There wasn't any other outside factors that could have determined, guys leaving, guys coming, every year. So that was, I really cherish the fact that, the portal wasn't a factor back then.
Yeah, I think about you guys, yes, we've discussed Travis having the issue with email of all things for the Michigan game. If you can imagine that being harassed by email, I'm not making light of that. It was a tough deal that Travis worked through and made the big kick, and it ended up being an All-American. You can relate to that. Travis was very, very accomplished, but that is an interesting thing. And yet, you have a coaching staff that was also kind of an eclectic group. I mean, you have the Jim Chaneys of the world, nobody quite like Jim. You have Joe Tiller, nobody quite like Joe. Talk about how they blended with what, and Danny Hope. I mean, Danny Hope, they broke the mold with Danny too. I mean, these are guys that were really unique people, unique personalities that seem to blend well with that right. I guess you would call the right, being able to put the right group together to make it all happen.
Yeah, well, I think it first starts off when they got there and they started moving guys in positions, and where they felt that the player would benefit the team the best. So I think that was numero uno. So strong staff. I really enjoyed all of the different personalities on the staff. Obviously, I dealt with Coach Hope and Coach Chaney the most. Chaney, the first year was Hope and Chaney with the tight ends and the linemen together. And then I think Coach Hope got sick of me, so Chaney, we went on our own and had our own tight ends room, which was nice. Yep. So it was I loved playing for him. I'll talk about Coach in a second, but as far as Tiller, but having Danny Hope there, who his accent, he had that Southern accent, he was very intimidating, but he was also the type of guy that you would do anything for. And he actually, I had a session with him where I had to run for quite a while, and he thought he killed me after because everything just shut down in my body. But so I thought that was pretty comical. But you know what? People are like, how could you look at him in the eyes or deal with him or like him? I go, I love him. I'm like, he put me through something because it was my fault. I missed class. It was my fault. I shouldn't have done it. He taught me a lesson, and I would, if he called me tomorrow and said, Tim, I need you wherever he's at, I'm there. So really loved Danny Hope. He was great to our offensive line. He taught us a lot. Even though I didn't block very much, the techniques he taught us. I, as a coach, high school coach, I've been teaching that, some of the techniques that he had passed on to us. And then you get to Coach Chaney, who was he was a jokester. He loved ripping on us. We'd be watching film of another team, and he might say, like, with the laser on the screen, he might say, wow, what a waste of a scholarship on that guy. You know what I mean? The silliest stuff that, just
acting like you weren't even in the room, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was, it was nice because you felt relief. Obviously when Coach Tiller's in the room, it's a little more serious, but with Coach Chaney in our tight ends room, like, we had a lot of fun. I was probably the most colorful character. I mean, you had Pete, Chris, Reinhardt. Some of the other guys weren't as outgoing, I would say. They're more academic, I would say.
Yeah.
So it was a fun, and I also appreciated the fact that when I first started, I think I had a drop in practice, and I might have had a drop in a game, and it was my first drop, and I was not happy about it. I think I had a drop later that week in practice, and Coach Chaney said something to me, and I just said, stop talking to me. Get out of my head. Leave me alone. I will, the 2 drops I had in my career, that I still remember the first one. And, but he was like, all right. He's like, I got you. Like, if that's what it takes for you to get better and to help the team, that's fine. So when it came to pass catching, now everything else, he had a lot of advice and a lot of choice words for me. And then you get to Coach Tiller, who I thought he was great because he let his assistants do the coaching. The only times he ever chimed in was special teams, snappers. When he caught me long snapping in practice one day, and then I had to snap the Michigan game that weekend, which sucked. But that was those were the only times. And then if you had to have your little one-on-ones or little talkings too with Coach. But I always enjoyed my time talking with Coach. Everyone thought that we didn't get along. We actually got
right. I want to clear that up. That's not true. Well, go ahead.
No, not at all. Not at all. I actually was pallbearer at his funeral. So, for me, like, it was not, I looked at him as like another father figure. Same with Coach Chaney. I looked at him as like a father figure. My dad at that point was in his late 60s, almost 70 at the time when I was going into college. So, having like a younger guy like Coach Chaney around, I looked at him like a father, but more like a big brother. And then I looked at Coach Tiller more as like a father figure. And, I could see this, some of the looks he would give me when I would say stuff or do stuff or, things like that. But none of it was meant with any ill intent. It was all, always to have fun and live in the moment. And I think that might have been my weakest thing was I was always about living in the moment and not looking at the long picture of I gave away every jersey I had after a bowl game. And, then you go to like Botz's house for his bachelor party. We were staying at his parents' house and he had all of his jerseys from each bowl game, framed on a wall. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have done that. Like, just things like that you just never think of doing. But yeah, it was a great experience. The group of guys we had, a mixture of the guys coming in. And by that point, we were in our third or fourth year with Coach Tiller. So, there weren't a whole lot.
Yeah, you'd have been your fourth. The Rose Bowl year was his fourth year. Your third
Correct.
year of eligibility, right?
Correct.
The third year because you redshirted, obviously, a freshman year. But yeah.
Correct. So yeah, that was at that point. There weren't many leftover. I hate to call them leftovers, but holdovers from Coach Coletto. You had Light in that crew, so it was which thank God we did because our offensive line was incredible.
Goring, Light were pretty good holdovers. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they weren't
Chucky,
too bad.
Chucky. Yep. He was another one that was from Coletto. So, and then you had Ian Allen, Rob Turner, Gene Werskowski. Gene wasn't Gene and Rob weren't. They were newer, players.
But Ian was, right?
Ian was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about like every guy on that offensive line did not play that position when they got there. And for Coach Tiller and the staff to recognize where they would be best suited, that was the most, to me, that was the most important thing. They saw what they had, and instead of trying to get rid of guys, they just repurposed them, and it benefited the team tremendously. So it was, it was a smart move on Coach Tiller's part and the staff's part.
When you look at it through the lens of 25 years, and you're a dad now, and you did live in the moment. Those guys were special, and you had that relationship. But how, did it fully sink in at that point, or did it sink in 5 years later? Guys, they always say dads or coaches get smarter as you get further away from them. Was that the same situation, or did you really know it when you had it at that point? How did you? How do you look at that?
It doesn't seem like I probably didn't feel like I knew it at the time. All I know is that I use sayings from Coach Tiller, from Coach Hope, from Coach Chaney, from Coach Spack. When I've been coaching, and some of them are PC or PG, and some of them aren't. But either way, it's I'm more of an old school coach. Like I'm not all about the participation trophies and you did great when he sucked. I'm the one that's going to tell a kid, if he didn't play well, what he did wrong, how he can fix it. But I'm not going to say, oh, great game. I'm more truthful with these players because that's how we were treated. And I think you're seeing that there's a big difference in the generations now, like this more entitled generation with kids.
Yeah.
And obviously NIL, the transfer portal, all this stuff. I don't think the kids playing now could handle the coaching that we had back then. And that was only 25 years ago. You go back even further. When my dad played in the 40s and 50s, and that was an entirely different, football game. So, it's, I don't think we knew it at the moment. Maybe some guys did. I know I didn't. I think I realized it later in life, as I would meet Purdue people, and they're like, oh my God, I was at the Rose Bowl. I went out to the Rose. My parents sent me out to the Rose Bowl for the game. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry for the outcome, but we appreciate it. And it really starts to settle in, mentally as I got older. And, I pull out the Rose Bowl ring for meetings with Purdue people and stuff. And it definitely is a nice talking piece. And unfortunately, the only thing I can say is we didn't win the game. So.
Yeah, but it was
funny.
As we were talking about that, I don't know, with Vinny, I'm not sure it was Vinny or who I was talking with about Purdue's great moments, and Purdue's had a good football history. Certainly, you guys were part of that, making it at the highest level. It's had its ebbs and flows, but no program's gotten more out of two moments: the Rose Bowl in 2001, and then, of course, the Final Four a couple years ago. Even though you didn't win it, the Purdue fans. That was a special experience for all those people. I don't think there are a lot of people. Yeah, you want to win the game, and I know you did as players against Washington, but that experience has lasted people. And for Purdue, you've only been twice, so sometimes that's the case. All right, we gotta take you through a little bit of where were you and what you recall from certain things. Certainly. Playing with number 15, and he had a lot of confidence in you and Drew Brees because, yes, you didn't drop the football or not very often. And, you needed that first down. You guys had a special way of communicating. Maybe it was telepathy. I'm sure there was a lot more to it than that. But talk about Drew and just what, as a quarterback, but also that relationship, because you were different guys. I mean, again, different personalities. But what that was like working with him.
It was great. I mean, we walked in freshman year, the first class with Tiller, and I didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. And we clicked because we were ultra competitive. If it was ping pong, if it was pool, if it was bowling, basketball, you name it, volleyball, he couldn't even come close to me, but the other ones, we were ultra competitive. I mean, after every practice, every Friday walkthrough practice, we would have a contest from half the midfield to the sideline to throw who could put the ball in the garbage can, from the middle of the field to the sideline. And we did that, every Friday. That was our tradition. It was not, and then, when it came to the, practices were fine. We always kind of knew there were certain guidelines that the coaches gave us, as far as like certain defensive schemes, like, all right, when you see two deep, this is what you're going to expect on the option. So my option route, what to expect here on a 3 deep cover or, 4 shot, whatever they were playing. I always remembered it. And then Drew, we would talk about it and, lineups, matchups before the game, during the game, excuse me. But it was nice to know that he had the confidence in me to go to me when needed. So, and I loved it. I ate it up. I was living in the moment and enjoying it. And people knew we were throwing the ball when I was in the game. I mean, that was, like I said, I was not a run blocker. So, and I never admitted to being one. Yeah. But at that point, it was like, hey, line up and try to stop us. Like that was our mentality, and we knew it. Like, coaches instilled that, belief in us that, hey, they know we're running a spread here. We're not reinventing the wheel here. This is what we're doing. They want to try and stop us. Go for it. Like they knew especially after that first season in '98, when I asked Coach Cheney, I go, listen, I need to step out 2-3 yards. Like I need to get out of the in line because I'm having a hard time getting off the ball. I was 235 pounds playing tight end. So, I mean, I was very light, comparatively playing against 280, 290 pound defensive ends. So it was a challenge. And I said, hey, can I just get off the ball, flex out a little bit, kind of into my natural wide receiver position that I was playing in high school? And he's like, if that's what it takes, do it. And teams knew it. And it was it was a great level of confidence that we had. And like I said, Drew and I, sometimes we'd have that look, when you line up to the ball, we're looking at coverages and looking at where everyone is, and you kind of make eye contact and what's happening. So it was back when I had good eyesight. So it was it was really a lot of fun.
Well, 3rd and 6. I mean that just seemed to be maybe, and I don't know if I have the data to support it, but it seems like that's where, you did other things, but you guys had that combination of getting to the sticks. Of course, you would do the first down signal just to make sure everybody knew that you had it. But that was really where it seemed to me that, just moving the chains, and you had a huge part of getting that done on a regular basis. All right, we have to go to the fun part of your what you're known for, but you're known for a lot of things. With the Michigan game, obviously, unbelievable comeback. I told everybody on this thing, and because I'm good for one thing, and that's stats on occasion. No Purdue team has ever come from an 18-point deficit and won before or since, and it's still the case. And
I was not aware of that. Wow.
And you did that. Unless my research is wrong, but I've been talking about that for about 10 years, so I think it's correct. But that game, obviously, a crazy game. Your guys are down 28-10 at the half. Again, you're a confident group. You've got as good a quarterback as anybody in the country, though the guy on the other side of the field, Drew Henson, wasn't too bad at the time. This is, but you go into that game. What do you recall from that locker room in the Michigan game, and coming out and taking care of business in the second half?
I'm not going to lie. I don't really remember the locker room. I know most guys do, but unfortunately, my memory is not as great as it used to be. So I do know that the second half, just everything started to click. Our defense really
making plays.
They made plays. They really stepped up, and then we just did what we had to do to score. And I just remember the exciting to see the stadium, just going crazy. And then with Travis's kick, the first one, and then we get the ball back and he makes the second one, I was happy. I don't want to say the term, but I was just very happy. And I was, it was an exciting moment for the team, for us, for the fans. The opportunity to beat Michigan at home, which didn't happen very often. So it was a great experience, national TV, all that, and. Yeah, the post game was the post game, but the actual game itself was a great experience and fun for everyone.
All right, but your memories of the post game, the helmet issue, and not being able to find it. What is true and what is urban legend on that whole deal? Because there's some of both. The story is after the game, you were hanging on. We have a picture of you hanging on the goal. Tom Campbell image of you hanging on the goalpost, which. It's got to be a fun thing. You'll see it in college basketball all the time with rushing the field court and rushing the field. You guys had several of those experiences that year. 3 of them, I think. Tell us what do you recall from that? Your helmet was gone. That's true, right?
Correct.
And the story was, which Joe was always good at making good stories out there. Well, if he doesn't get it back by next week against Northwestern, I don't know if he's going to play. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but set the record straight of what happened.
So that is true, by the way.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that last part was true for sure. So after the, at the end of the game, Brandon Gorn and I, we each had a friends on the other team, so we wanted to go across the field and say hi to them. My buddy was Dan Rumashek, a defensive end from Addison Trail High School. We knew each other from high school. And then Brandon Gorn knew somebody from, Muncie or whatever the case was. So we tried to go across, but the crowd rushed the field. So Gorn and I kind of got lost from each other. So at one point with all these students around, I'm like, hell, I don't see anyone. I don't see the Michigan players. I don't see our team. And I just said, hey, let's go to the goalpost. And it was funny because it was almost like Moses,
they let you go there.
Yeah, the Red Sea, like all the students just opened up and we went straight to the north end zone goalpost. And I remember we were there and I'm holding my helmet and a kid from one of my classes, and I can't remember, I wish I knew his name because he was great about it. I said, hey, can you hold this while I, jump up on the thing? He's like, absolutely. But apparently he put my helmet down to help lift me up.
Yeah.
And that's when the helmet got swiped. So, I'm on the goalpost hanging, having fun. Then I get crowd surfed to about the 50-yard line. And then I realized, I'm like, oh no, I did have 2 flags in my arms too. So I should have known, but I was just too caught up in the moment. And then when I got down on about the 50-yard line, I'm like, shoot, I don't have my helmet. This is going to be bad. So I tried to, tell the crowd around me, like, $50 in a case of beer, whoever finds my helmet. And I swear to God, you saw kids everyone like searching for it. So by the time I got into the locker room, the team was already, like, Coach Tiller already did his speech. Most of the guys were showered and already out of there. I felt bad because my family was waiting for me outside. So we, after the game, we go out. I go out with my parents for dinner and stuff like that. And then we had fun. We went to the bars afterwards, which was phenomenal. And then Sunday's practice, I get there, and there's the managers, Chris and Mike, where
Mike
I'm like,
Sanders.
hey,
Yeah, Mike,
yep.
yeah, Mike
I'm like,
Sanders.
yeah.
Still there. Great
Yep.
guy.
Yeah, I love Mike. So I'm like, I had a backup helmet apparently, but my original helmet had a titanium face mask. The backup helmet had a steel mask, and you could feel the weight difference and everything else. So I'm wearing the helmet on Sunday. That night, I was writing a diary for ABCSports.com.
Yeah.
That Tom Schott would, review and make sure everything was PC before he sent it off. And I said, if anyone has any information on the whereabouts of my helmet, I will give you the game ball from the Michigan game. And there were all these calls. We had caller ID because that was the house phone. Nobody else had cell phones. So we would get all these calls and like, hey, we saw your helmet here. So we'd get in the car, we'd go, and false alarm. Well, then so we're off Monday, Tuesday practice with my helmet, the backup helmet, Wednesday backup helmet, Thursday's practice. I get there and I get to the locker room and there's no helmet in my locker. And I look right at Mitrione, who's across from me. I'm like, Meet, come on, what are you doing? He's like, was me, dude. And then, I'm asking, a few of the usual suspects, Vinny, all the usual suspects. I'm like, guys, who's got it? Who's got it? Nobody's got it. So I go over to Shandrick. I'm like, hey, where's my backup helmet? He's like, Coach told us to take it away. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, I'm going to go out to practice without it. So it was a shells practice. So, thigh boards, shoulder pads, and the helmets. Yeah. So we go out there and, I start stretching and Coach comes up to me. He's like, where's your helmet? I said, what do you mean? I go, you know where it is. He's like, I go, Coach, you know where it is. He goes, what do you mean? I go, you told the managers to take it away from me. And he goes, yeah. He goes, he said, if you don't get your helmet back, you're not playing against Northwestern, which was up here in Chicago. It was like a
big game for you, a big game.
Yeah. And so I said, I go, really? I go, that's BS. And I think I used the full word. Yeah. Because I go, Wonder Boy, which is my nickname for Drew. I said, Wonder Boy had his helmet taken 2 years ago during bowl practice, and nobody said a word. But I got my helmet taken, and I'm the jerk. And I had some other words that I was using. So then all of a sudden my backup helmet comes out of the locker room, and I practiced that day. So then Thursday night comes, and about 2:30 in the morning. So I lived with Matt Light, Alex Tone, Rob Turner, and it was myself. So 4 of us in the house. And Tone must have been up studying for an exam or for a test or something. We get a call at 2:30 in the morning, and it said computer, like Purdue computer lab on the caller ID. And so Alex answers it, and the guy on the other line was like, "Is Tim there?" Alex is like, "No, it's 2:30 in the morning. He's sleeping." Or yeah, he's here, but he's sleeping. He goes, "Well, can you please relay a message to him that?" And Alex is like, "Sure." He goes, please let him know that his helmet is underneath the north end zone goalpost where he left it. And Alex is like, all right, fine. And like hung up the phone. So then I guess the guy called back 15 minutes later just to reaffirm that he got the message. And he's like, hey, I'm calling back. I just want to make sure that you let Tim know where the helmet is so he can play Saturday. So apparently the kid broke into the stadium, put my helmet underneath the north end zone goalpost. And in it was a letter that stated, dear Mr. Stratton, I hope this helmet brings you as much pleasure as it has brought me these past few days. And I'm sorry for any inconvenience, so on and so forth. So I'm like, I'm a sick, 20-year-old. I'm like, God, what was he doing with my helmet? It was just one of those, a weird wording, that he used. So, that was kind of the extent of it. The managers, he also had called Coach Stiller's office and left a message for Carlita that my helmet was there. So the managers were in there first thing in the morning.
And they got it.
They took it apart. They disinfected it.
But it was there. I mean, it was on by the goalpost. It was where he said it was.
It was exactly where he said it was going to be. And it turns out that when the kid from one of my classes, when he put the helmet down, that other kid pinched it and left. But he had went home for fall break that weekend. And so he gave the helmet to his little brother. So that's what the delay was in getting the helmet back. Because one of his friends came to the locker room to get the game ball and told me the story. He's like, listen, I'm not going to tell you his name. I go, listen, I don't want his name. That's fine. Because I said I was given a game ball, but I gave a practice ball. I just said I had a couple guys sign a practice ball and said it was a game ball. So, but I didn't wish him any ill will or ill harm. I kind of wanted to know the story behind it. Like, what did he do? Like, what happened with it? I can deal with Coach all day, but I just wanted to hear kind of the backstory with what he did with the helmet. And, but yeah, it just turns out it took him a little longer to go home and get the helmet back from his brother and bring it back.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about the fact that he went. So you really think he wouldn't have played for Northwestern? If that helmet doesn't get there, you would have been out. You really think he'd have?
I think he would have made a statement there. Yeah, even then, and this is back then. There was all these companies calling to buy my helmet, like buy me a new helmet.
Yeah,
and this was before NIL and everything else. So it was all illegal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Although with social media and everything else, I'm glad I'm not playing now versus then.
Oh yeah, I think
too much to deal with.
Yeah. All right. You win that game. You go to Northwestern and beat the team that you ended up sharing the Big Ten championship with, Northwestern, handily. Though it was the second half and the offense got rolling. You guys had good days in Evanston. Even your sophomore year, or actually in your redshirt freshman year, big game up there. I think you put 56 on them, and you beat them. You put 41 on them in a good game up there. Wisconsin, I have to ask just because I don't know whether Craig Terrell gets the block and Ashante Woodyard gets the scoop and score. Where were you in that? I assume were you waiting to go on the field, right? Because you figured that so you weren't in a position to run down to the south end zone, or did you do that, or whatever end zone?
No, you know what? I let all the defensive guys run down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel the need to do that. So it was. I think we were all standing up. Normally we're sitting down talking and going over stuff. But at that point, when they were going for the field goal, we all stood up, get to the sideline to watch it. And yeah, Terrell's paw when they blocked the ball, and Ashante, number 7, goes running down, and then he kind of showboated his way into the end zone. That was
he did.
Yeah, that was. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun on the way home, and we also had a lot of fun that night. I know that. I think I was at a foam party that night. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. But like I said, there's certain things I remember, and there's things I can't remember. So, but yeah, that was a great experience. And then unfortunately, I think it was Michigan State the following week.
Yeah. What happened? I mean, I've asked guys because you guys had an interesting year. I mean, you had 2 games. The Michigan State game you should have lost because they beat you soundly that day. But Notre Dame and Penn State, you probably shouldn't have lost those games. But it was an interesting year because you did have some ups and downs, and you were certainly hanging by a thread in some ways after the Penn State loss, and you had to beat Michigan. But what do you recall? Because you had a bye week in between after you beat Ohio State, and we probably ought to go back to that too. But that whole situation of not playing as well as you would like to, was it? I remember looking at our stories in Gold and Black about just kind of lacking energy. They ran the ball down your throat. You just didn't have it that day. But that was a little bit of the story of that team. Not that you didn't have it, but there were times offensively that, as good as you were, where Penn State, you didn't have as great a game as a team. Notre Dame, even it was still tough to score, though you did get the big touchdown at the end that you just couldn't stop them. Talk about that a little bit.
I think when the Michigan State game was unfortunate, and those other games were as well. The Penn State game really hurt. Obviously, losing the Notre Dame. I mean, I can't stand Notre Dame. I mean, everyone I know at Purdue hates IU. I don't like Notre Dame, so that's just how I am.
You're a Chicago guy.
Yeah, IU didn't really mean much to me. It was more ND. But you know what? I think sometimes the coaches, and I might get some flack for this, but sometimes I think they got in their head what they think would work against the team, and might switch it up. Like, let's run the ball against them, when throwing the ball got us so much success. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was
22 passes. I was going to say 22 passes is all you threw against Notre Dame. Remember, that was Jim got a lot of flack for that, right? I mean, and then the next week against Minnesota, you threw it a lot. So I assume that's what you're referring to. But go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, there was just certain games and certain teams they thought we could take advantage of in certain aspects of the run game or the pass game. I wanted to stay true to who we were. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We are who we are. This is how we do, and this is how we run. I wanted to throw the ball more. They got a little when teams would play drop 8 against us.
Yeah.
Like an Okie front with a drop 8.
Yeah. Right.
It didn't matter. You've got Brees throwing the ball. Like he can he could put the ball anywhere he wanted to, and our offensive line was great. So he's got all the time in the world. They just got I don't know if they got nervous or what, but they, I always say they did this or whatever, but it was irritating to me especially as a receiving tight end, because it was the Notre Dame game. It was Penn State. Penn State, although I think I had a touchdown there that was a legal touchdown, that the TV replay saw it I dragged my feet as I caught it out of bounds, going out of bounds. And then obviously the Michigan State game, and then the Rose Bowl. I mean, think about it. There were 4 games where we kind of got away from who we were and didn't throw the ball as much as we needed to. And I mean, I think I talked to a lot of you guys after that Rose Bowl game and said, what the hell? We threw the ball 24 times in the entire game. I go, we've thrown that in a quarter. How is that even possible? And it happened the year before against Georgia in the Outback Bowl. Like I said, the teams that either if they it happened the year before in Kansas State, teams that would bracket me and maybe bracket Vinny. I don't know. They just thought they could run the ball more, and we just didn't have our guys up front were great. Yeah. I don't know if the run game was our strong suit. Definitely pass pro. I mean, pass protection, they were phenomenal. But I mean, they did great in the run game. We just weren't like an overpowering offensive line. We weren't a Wisconsin offensive line that could just move anyone. They could move every NFL team. So I think that was a little bit of the challenge. But when you try to speak up, you got to be careful how you do it, because you don't want to be. I mean, yes, I spoke up, but most of the guys wouldn't speak up. So that's just kind of the way it was.
All right, I do have to ask about Ohio State and where you were I assume you were on the field on the pass. They didn't have you for the pass to the fourth progression to Seth Morales, but what do you recall about that play? Because you knew you had a guy in Drew Brees, like you had just mentioned. You were going to get it done. He had just thrown his 4th interception and probably felt like but as competitive as he is, he's going to get right back out and do it, and he did it. But talk about that play and what you remember from it. I'm sure you watched the ball sail over your head, I assume. As you recall the game.
No, I was not in on that formation because our grouping was the light grouping, so it was 4 receivers and a running back. So I ended up playing in that grouping the following year, my 5th year, but not my earlier seasons. So I remember being on the sideline. I was pissed that I was on the sidelines, but it was as soon as I heard the play called, because I think I was standing near the coaches, and twins right gun, yellow X74. Wait, twins right gun, yellow 74X Z pole, and so run the hitch, run the flag, post, and then the skinny post behind. So it was awesome because of who caught it too. You know what I mean? Like, Seth is one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet. He worked his ass off, transferring in from Butler, and then he worked his way into the starting position. So it was really awesome to see. It also showed Drew's footwork too. If you notice, he kind of skirts around in the pocket, and then as he's scanning, the progression, which he was awesome at doing. He would do that during walkthroughs. He would look at every potential receiver in the progression, even in walkthroughs. Because I did notice a difference in my 5th year with Brandon Hance. He would do the walkthroughs and just throw it at Stubblefield. He would pretend like he's throwing to Taylor, and I'm like, I'm over here.
Yeah.
And, but it was an awesome throw. Drew, I don't think even in practice, I don't think he made that throw very often on that play. And we ran that play quite often because it's a great cover 2, cover 4 beater. And so I actually tried to implement that at my old high school this past season. I didn't coach there, but I gave the play to the coaches at York High School because they were playing Loyola high school, Loyola Academy State Championship, and York, my high school never made it. So I gave the play to my brother, whose friend his son was the quarterback. And I said, listen, you're going to have to read the progression to the hitch, to the flag, to the post, to the skinny post. And they ran the play one time and they were down by 21 already. This was a cover 2 team that couldn't run the ball, or you couldn't run against them. And I'm like, all the kid had to do was literally look off, and the kid would have been open. But he looked right at number 3 and 4, and it just completely screwed up the play. But
that's why Drew was good.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know what? But like I said, he had the time. He also had the footwork to move around the pocket while keeping his eyes downfield. And I think that's really important. You know, he felt the pressure, but he didn't react to it. He played through it. You know, and that's I think he's calm, cool. What do they call him? Cool breeze or whatever. Yeah. He just when you know, and I would notice it where he'd come into the huddle, like we'd be all screwing around, like, you know, I'd probably be looking at a dance team person or something or whatever. And as soon as he came into the huddle, he knew, you know, you just knew to shut up and it's go time. So it was a fun experience. I know Light and I were having a party that night too. And at the house, we were having a Halloween party, and I had rented the Batman costume. It was like a rubber Batman costume that my parents I'd used their credit card to rent it. And
imagine that.
I know. And so I just remember Light and I, when Drew threw the interception though, before the Morales touchdown, Light and I looked at each other. We're like, we blacked out our windows. We got dry ice coming. We got kegs. We got we're like, damn it. And then the following series they go out and make the play. So it was definitely a great time. I hung on the post that time as well, but I had my helmet on. I had it strapped on that time. And I think a buddy of mine, Jason Isley, who unfortunately passed away, he joined me for that round of hanging off the goalpost. So that was a fun game.
You were you learned something. See, that's right. You made the progression. I had guys talk about Drew throwing that 4th pick and cracking. I think it was Mike Doss or whoever had the interception. He belts him going out of bounds to the 3-yard line. And Drew just said he was just mad, but he said that Drew Brees is a football player, and we all knew that was the case. All right, you got to tell me a little bit about your family here, and any other things that when you put your head on the pillow and you think about that experience 25 years ago, what else comes to mind?
All right, so my daughter Ava just graduated high school. She's going to play volleyball at Youngstown State University.
Very good.
Yeah, she was fortunate. So
the Penguins, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
very good. Yeah.
She just had her Instagram story today, like the takeover they call it, like Instagram takeover or Penguin takeover. I don't know. I fully don't know how to spell. But so she's actually out there right now this week for some camps and stuff, and then she's coming home for 2 weeks, and then she reports August 1st. So we're really excited for her. My younger one, Maeve, she is going to be a sophomore in high school. She was the quarterback on the flag football team, which was cool because she was the freshman starting on the JV, like as the quarterback, and threw the first touchdown in the program history because it was a brand new sport. So it was a bomb.
Forever in the record books.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so cool. So that was fun. Then she played basketball, and then she picked up lacrosse. She had never picked up a stick before, and she came home from that first open gym and is a goalie, and she just absolutely loves it. They went undefeated. She had a great goal against average of like 2.8, which was pretty good. And now she wants to play in college. So I'm really excited for her. And then my oldest one, Hayden, she's 24, lives in the city, has got a job working downtown. So, they're all doing well. So it's, like I said, there's not a drop of testosterone left in my house, my body. I know. You name it.
That's a scourge, though, of guys like you, because that's why they get girls, right?
Yep.
I'm sure you've never been told that.
I've been blamed for that many a time. Yeah. But I've got a bunch of nephews, so it's cool. I'm good.
What's your day job, and obviously you're doing some coaching? Fill us in on that.
Yeah, so I'm a director of business development for an electrical contracting company called Skitch Electric. And what we do is commercial industrial electric. And, we work with clients like Amazon nationally and a lot of GCs here locally, which in the GC world, Purdue, the BCM program is huge, right?
Yeah.
And I think they renamed the program. I don't think it's called BCM anymore.
No, it's not, but I wish I could tell you what it is. But
yeah,
yes,
it's something else, but there's so many Purdue guys in this industry in like the general contracting world, mechanical. So there, and we work with some mechanicals as well. So as like their sub to do all their electrical work. So it's been great. Really enjoy the company. I actually brought some of my coworkers to my Hall of Fame thing last fall. So that was
very cool thing.
A very fun experience. And so it's my day to day is, I'm at job sites, I'm in the office, I'm out to lunch, I'm out to dinners, I'm, whatever the case may be. It's shaking hands, kissing babies. For me, it's all about relationships. And how do you know this company? Can you do you find a way in? I'm like, oh well, I knew that guy from he played at Northwestern. Steve Schnurr, the old quarterback from Northwestern. Yeah. He's with this company. Then you look and you're talking to like Kirk Kittner's at JLL. Like you kind of, and everyone remembers everyone. That's kind of the cool thing about it. So that's been a really fun experience for me. I really enjoy it. Everyone's been great, and it's provided. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and that's a good way. And imagine Tim Stratton in a position with relationships with people. I don't know how that would work. Good for you, man. I think that's an awesome thing. And of course, winning the John Mackey Award and as the top tight end, that is forever going to be with your name on it. So that's an awesome thing as well. Hey Tim, I really enjoyed this. We could just do this every Thursday night. I mean, what else? I mean, we have lots to talk about. No,
this is great for my memory because like I said, there's things I'm forgetting more and more now. But it's great to be able to the helmet story. I'll never forget.
You got that. You nailed that one. You nailed that.
We talk about things that help my memory, but there's other things unfortunately that are slipping. So it's this has been nice to have.
Well, we hope to see. I'm sure. Well, I don't know with your schedule how much you're going to be able to be down in West Lafayette. I don't know as of this recording. I haven't heard exactly what Purdue has got in mind for the 25-year anniversary, but I'm sure there's something coming. We're recording this in midsummer, but you're always well received when you come back to town, and that's part of the fun of all this. So bars and non-bars, you're well received. So that's a good thing. That's good. We already went over that with Vinny, so we're clear on that one. Yep. So, all right, have a great rest of your evening. Thanks so much for your time and congratulations. And I'll put my Purdue alumni hat on. Said thank you for your role in bringing Purdue to Pasadena. Even as a role at GoldandBlack, it's an experience I'll never forget, and a group of people, truly, yourself included, that in the world of covering sports, it doesn't get any better than we miss those times, I should say, where we had those relationships and guys were guys, and it was just kind of the way it was, but a lot of fun. So have a great rest of your evening, Tim. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for everything you do with the Gold and Black too.
Hey, thank you.
Take care.
Want to thank you for watching tonight's edition of Monday Night Memories, our Rose Bowl reflections, brought to you by the good folks at Chariot Auto Group. And Nate, these have been fun to do. I mean, it's a privilege to be able to talk to these guys and have that experience. And I think you were just a college student at that time, but what a special time it had to have been to be a student at Purdue when this was all coming to fruition.
Yeah, I think very warm memories for all of us, Alan, that were anywhere near the program during that time, and whether that's a fan in the stands or in the old press box, just great memories that these guys, these coaches and players have created for us. And I think throughout the years, as football has its ups and downs, Alan, it's certainly worth, when you have tradition like Purdue does in football, to reflect on it and enjoy looking back on those great moments, and it gives you hope for the future.
Yeah, no doubt. And that is in the background. There's a reminder that Nate Barrett and company are doing business at Chariot Auto Group. So we appreciate them so much, and we've had a lot of fun. This is the best part of the job, is to be able to talk to some of these guys that have had great success on and off the field, have good families and relationships, and they're making a difference in their community. A big part of that as well. So without further ado, I should remind you, that we'll be back next week with another edition of our Monday Night Memories. And we're going to try to keep these going every Monday throughout the course of the 2025 Purdue football season. And a reminder, too, a programming reminder, make sure you tune in, text, you can chat us your questions post-game. Nate and I will be keeping the band together along with the staff of GoldandBlack.com as we break down Purdue football on a week-by-week basis on our GoldandBlack.com Saturday simulcast. So have a great week, everybody.